A big thanks to designmybeat.com for sponsoring this video. They have a huge selection of sample-based software instruments and drum and beat sample packs inspired by real artists like Martin Garrix, Hardwell, Skrillex, Tiesto, Calvin Harris, and more. Check out Tomorrowland, Elixir of EDM, and their newest instrument, Tomorrowland 2, Elixir of Stars, which contains more than 10,000 sample instruments, sound effects, and drums. Check out the links in the video description below for more info. Hey everyone, this is Music Tech Help Guy. In my previous video yesterday, I demonstrated the drum probability sequencer within the Scripter MIDI effects plugin. Today I want to show you two more MIDI Scripter effects presets. The first is called the probability gate, and the second is called the random offset probability. So right now I've got this synth lead here, just an ES2 instrument with some reverb and EQ on it, just playing quarter notes here, all the same note, and I have two Scripter plugins loaded up on it. The first one's the probability gate, and the second one is the random offset probability. So I'm going to turn off the random offset probability, and actually I'll turn off the probability gate as well, and this is what this sounds like normally. Just straight quarter notes. There's a little bit of cool reverb on there, but other than that, it's just quarter notes. So let me turn on the probability gate. What the probability gate allows you to do is it allows you to randomly gate a sequence. So there's only one slider, and this controls the probability that a note will be gated or won't be gated. So if this is 100%, this means there's a 100% chance that a note will play. If you pull this down to 0, it means there's essentially a 100% chance that there's going to be a gate, or a 0% chance that a note will play. And so we hear nothing. So if you put this somewhere in between, it will randomly gate the notes. So 52%, there's about a 50% chance or 52% chance that a note will be played. So you can hear it's not playing all of the notes. So let me pull this up to a higher percentage, because most of these notes I want to hear. So 77%. Okay, so the next one I want to show you is the random offset probability. This one can randomly offset notes by a high or low octave, and also by semitones. So just to demonstrate, I'll turn off the probability gate for now, and I'll set the offset probability pretty high. And what this is going to do is it's going to randomly offset the notes by up to 2 octaves or down by 1 octave. Or you could set this to 0 high range and just a low offset. And likewise, I could set the low range to 0 and just pull up a high range offset. So it gives me 3 different octaves that it can jump around. Let me go back to -1. What you can also do is you can set an offset in semitones. So if I say 3 semitones, any of the notes that play can have a 73% chance of being offset to something else, and that offset can be randomly up to 2 octaves higher, 1 octave lower, or shifted by 3 semitones, or a combination of both. So you could have a note that's up an octave plus 3 semitones, or a note that's down an octave plus 3 semitones. And then if you pair that with the probability gate, some of the notes will just be completely gated and nothing will happen. So you're probably thinking, well, Josh, there's not really much useful I can do with this. Well, there's some pretty cool things you can do with it. Kind of like I demonstrated in the last video when we talked about the drum probability sequencer. So I do have an example here. I'm going to mute this instrument for now. Go ahead and hide it as well. And I've got just a 16th note bass line, basic 4 on the floor drum pattern down here. Let me mute those for now. Let's just pull up the synthesizer here. So this is just an ES2 instrument. It's a polyphonic ES2 instrument. We've got a little bit of reverb on it. The MIDI effects on this channel are an arpeggiator, the scripter with the probability gate, the note repeater, and then a second scripter with the random offset probability. So without the arpeggiator, it's just chords. And then with the arpeggiation in, it's a 16th note arpeggiated pattern. And it repeats every 4 bars. So then after the arpeggiator, I added the scripter with the probability gate set to around 74%. And again, this is just going to gate some of the notes in the arpeggio. So it's starting to get a little more interesting. I like to throw the note repeater on here as well. This is not required by any means, but it's kind of cool to transpose your notes up an octave, but have a delay on them. So I'm just putting this on 1 repeat, transposing 12 semitones with the velocity ramped down a bit, and then I have the delay time set to an 8th note. So every note you hear is being doubled up an octave an 8th note later. So now we're getting somewhere. Let's add a second scripter in here. And on this one, I've added the random offset probability. So I've set the probability to 63%. I set the high to 0 because I don't want to go any higher than I already am. And then the low range of -1. So this brings in the probability that notes could be offset down an octave. So let's play this with some music playing in the background. Now, if you really want to be a weirdo, you can use the drum probability sequencer that I demonstrated in yesterday's video to trigger 4 notes. So I'm triggering E flat, G flat, A flat, and D flat, or D sharp, F sharp, G sharp, and C sharp, sort of sticking an E flat minor here. And then that will just randomly trigger those 4 notes. And then you can add in your probability gate to randomly gate those notes. Then you can add your note repeater to add some octave jumps and things like that. And then you can add the random offset probability to offset some of the notes up or down an octave, or up and down certain semitone values. So our synth lead here, or synth gate sound, whatever you want to call it, is completely generated by Logic just based on those 4 notes that I initially set in the drum probability sequencer. So let's see what this sounds like with the bass and drums behind it. So again, as I mentioned in the drum probability sequencer video, this is not going to be something you can use as a creative tool for everything. It's a creative tool you can use if you want to generate something that's kind of interesting and kind of random. Again, it's not going to be everyone's cup of tea, but I think it's kind of cool to mess around with here and there if you just need sort of like a glitchy 80s sort of synthwave backing, you know, gated lead, gated melody sort of sound. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel to see more content like this. And if you'd like to make a monthly contribution to the channel, you can check me out at patreon.com/musictechhelpguy. Thanks for the support, and thanks for watching.